Welcome. You join us for the 52nd edition of the Tour of Turkey. It's been around a long time, finally achieving World Tour status and then moved to this part of the calendar. 176 kilometres ahead of today as we go to Kamersh and indeed what is inevitably going to be a sprint. We're on the southern coast, eastern coast I should say, and indeed that's a list of the winners that we've had since 2008 here. Been some pretty handy races. 2014 Adam Yates was a spectacular one for us, personally speaking. It was great to see Adam at that point just absolutely in his pomp, and he and his brother Simon have ridden on beautifully ever since. It was optional for the World Tour teams to come to the event this year. This is what we're dealing with, however. Alanya to Kamersh and along the coast. If it blows up, expected to be a little bit challenging. Other than that, a more gentle introduction you'd be hard pushed to find to what is a task of a race. Not much inland. We're basically staying coastal in our run to Izmir before we transition to Istanbul for the final stage. Always a great grand finale at the side of the Bosphorus. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this is the terrain that we have today, and despite the fact that it jinks and dives, as you can see, in some of the higher ground, if you look at the profile on the far left of your screen, you'll see that maximum altitude today is only 60 metres above sea level. So despite the spikes, it's not that spiky. Alanya then to Kamersh and sign on today for glory, and great to see that the likes of Bora Hansgrohe have made the trip. 4 World Tour teams. The World Tour teams given the option. It was not compulsory, this event, because of the calendar move that came late on. So signing on for glory today, Michael Schwartzman, Matteo Palucchi and Sam Bennett have to be the favourites for Bora Hansgrohe. And Sam Bennett out and out favourite for the day, but with other sprinting options, they're going to be extremely difficult to stop. Astana have also made the trip here. It's been a happy hunting ground for the men in their pale blue, albeit bleeding these days towards the black shirts. Looks like a laundry accident, but nonetheless, apparently it's groovy and down with the kids with an 80s reference, but anyway. Riccardo Minali is going to be their favoured son. You saw Trek lining up for the selfies. Ted Toons, Edward Toons and Kyle Ryanen, part of a very strong sprinting team. Whether they've got the wherewithal to beat the lead out that is going to be provided by Bora Hansgrohe with Sarah Monson and Schwartzman is anyone's guess, but Coladan and Alfacci are great lead out men. UAE Team Emirates are also here, and overall looking for Darwin Atapuma and indeed Diego Ulizzi. I think Atapuma probably starting at very, very short odds, but Ulizzi is out and out favourite for the event. Marco Kump is their chosen son for the sprint, but don't ignore Simone Gonzoni either. The Turkish national team are our host team here. No more Turku, although the biscuits are still available. Ahmed Orkan is their chosen son. This is how we got underway today, and it was feisty right from the very beginning. Velia Triestina were determined to get into the break, and Alex Turin is one of those. And here we are, and there he is, the man who started it all. The Velia Triestina, that's how the first intermediate sprint went. Onur Balkan and Alex Turin it was that took it. We do have one Category 4 climb today, just so we have a climber's jersey at the end. But the blue turquoise leader's jersey is, of course, the one that they all covet. And so whoever finishes first at the line today will dominate that, plus the points competition, which is in a familiar green. So this is the head of the race as we stand at the moment. Alex Turin, third in the GC in the Sibiu, and indeed, I think, yeah, it was Sibiu, I beg your pardon, it was, last year, but only 25 years of age. And if you strip out he and Flavio Santos Cardozo, the Brazilian national champion last year, you may remember, third in Uruguay this time by. If you take those two guys away, it's very much a junior look to this breakaway. I guess youthful exuberance. Bit of a strange one for the Turkish national team, as Brian Smith has already pointed out. They seem to be wearing different jerseys. The alto verso of each other, one red and white and the other one white and red. If you see it, you'll know what we're talking about. So Serkan Balkan and Boran Ozgur are up in the breakaway, just youngsters, the pair of them, joined as well by Simone Sterbini and Vincenzo Albanese, who's a good call for today if they were going to stay away, but with 1 minute and 12, Brian, I don't think they will.
No, it's they haven't been given more than 2 minutes today, and in fact one of the Turkish riders, Ozgur, the 19-year-old, has just been brought back by the peloton, which leaves 5 riders in the front group. We have had a couple of sprints today already. The first sprint was taken by Albanese from Santos from Turin, but in the first beauty sprint of the day, there's different competitions. There's a sprint competition, there's a Turkish beauty sprint competition. The Turkish beauty sprint was just taken, as you said there, from Balkan of the Turkish national team from Turin and Santos. We still have one sprint to come and one King of the Mountains, and then we have the finish in Kimir.
Turkish beauty sprint is supposed to be on an area of outstanding beauty. Obviously they're very proud of the road surface here, because I couldn't really see much more to distinguish it from an ordinary sprint, but there'll be some days where your mind is blown by the beauty of this amazing country. Rest assured. Welcome back. Quick bike change for Sam Bennett here today. He's just taking a little bit of refreshment. He's within the cars. Indeed, looks nice and relaxed. Sam's had a fine year and comes into today as favourite to take the sprint.
Yeah, he won the Munsterland Giro just about 10 days ago. Beat Bauhaus, Greipel, Kittel, just a few German sprinters. And I think he surprised himself a little bit how much his form was at that particular time. And he does come in here as, I think, the favourite for this stage. It's a sort of a sprint that suits him in Kimish, and it's slightly on the, the kind of Turkish bricks, and it's slightly uphill finish. Okay, there's a little bit of pinch point with about 2 kilometres to go, or somewhere near there. Yeah, about 2 kilometres, it just kind of swings to the left. It's nothing too much, and then it's a big long straight finish. But for sure there are another few sprinters here, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's actually is going to take on Sam Bennett, because we've already seen at the front of the peloton, Bora Hansgrohe are riding for Bennett, but so is Trek Segafredo. Trek riding for their man, their sprinter Ed Toynes, and Ed Toynes is showing some good strong sprinting this year. He won a good stage of the Bink Bank Tour as well, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that battle between a couple of youngsters. And also to throw in the mix, you've got Gazprom already riding at the front, and I think that's for Porsev, their sprinter. He's not maybe had the best of time this year. He's dropped down a level from Katusha. But I think that between Porsev, Sam Bennett and Edward Toynes, we're going to have a nice sprint.
Yep, I think we will. Enrico Barbin, I think, as a backup to Simon Paolo. He was good. He had a very, very good 2016. So Bardiani, I think, will be in the mix. Justin Jules as well. He had a good Vendée, which is a good proving ground for just about anywhere. The Veyron Classic. So watch out for their sort of lime greeny yellowy. I'm never quite sure what to call it, to be honest, but tree frog yellow. We'll stick with that. Yeah, he was 4th in Paris Bourges as well, so he's absolutely motoring, and he's one of those guys that's kind of off the radar a bit, mainly because he rides for Veyron Classic. It's not a bad lineup, Brian. We've got 4 World Tour teams here, and considering that there was a possibility that we would have none, when the UCI said, look, we're going to move this race to late in the season and give you the option of going because of the movement in the calendar. Coming after Lombardy, it's very, very late, but 4 World Tour teams are going to invest in this because there's still UCI points up for grabs.
Yeah, for sure it's a World Tour race. Last year it wasn't, and I think it was a battle between Lotto Soudal and the Caja team last year, and okay, there was some exciting stages and things like that, but obviously at that time there was a lot of pressure on the teams to go to the race last year, and obviously at the start of the year, when I was still the GM of Team Dimension Data, the South African embassy in Istanbul got in touch with me directly and asked for me to support the race, and And obviously, talking to the riders like Mark Cavendish and various other people, they didn't want to kind of risk because of the security reasons. And obviously, Mark Cavendish was he's been here. He's had some success in the Tour of Turkey. He loves the country and loves the race. But unfortunately, such as his presence in that race, he didn't want to take any risk. Okay, the race was run out, and it was a really nice race last year. But now it's got World Tour. They've changed it in the calendar, so we'll just have to wait and see how it develops. But having holidayed here, having been here for the race, it would be a shame to see this the race kind of disappear from the calendar. And it's nice to see that all these teams that have come here are supporting a good race, and I think it could well find its place in the calendar at this particular period of time, because riders are trying to extend the calendar a little bit. They might not want to go all the way over to China, but come to Turkey, some nice racing, some good weather, and I'm sure we're in for quite a nice race over the next 6 days.
Couldn't agree more. 23 Celsius, very light winds coming in from the southwest, which are bringing sort of warm temperatures. 23 in the shade, don't forget. It feels a lot warmer than that when you find yourself out of any breeze that's out here. And you're able to keep the tan topped up, which in Brian's case, of course, it's the pink, but me even more so. Anyway, I like to think of myself as blue, really. But yes, when I come here, generally tend to get a little bit scorched. This morning went for a haircut. Had a hot taper applied to the ears. Sort of a crackling sound, it burns out all the old hairs. Can be a bit scary, but afterwards it feels great, mainly because I think the pain stopped.
Here's me thinking you just caught the sun in your ear.
That and a hot towel on the face with eucalyptus wax, it felt like, all over the neck area, which had been shaved down. And you think, gosh, I really do feel alive, especially when you give you a Turkish coffee, which is very ink-like. So yeah, Benny and his friends are doing a fantastic job for me. So I look a lot smarter than perhaps I did at the beginning of the day. 54.9 kilometres to go then, a minute and 13. So it's like it's holding station at the moment. And if you actually look, these roads, nothing overly complicated about them. It is a gentle introduction. We will be climbing, by the way, from tomorrow onwards. Much more challenging terrain, but today I think it's more about shaking out the jet lag, perhaps just a little bit, and engaging in the day, of which this is the opener of 6, we remind you. If you look at the fronds of the palms, you'll see that there's a little bit of movement here. It's not just the helicopter. So as we take a turn fairly soon and start heading south towards our finish line, the wind is going to become a headwind, and so it might get to be a bit more of a grind for these guys. We'll see if they survive. Welcome back. Not as hot as maybe the DSs thought it was. I noticed that Daniel Celano here for Caja Rural, he's coming up and offering bottles, and he's got exactly the right amount. And a few moments ago, one of the riders said, "No, I don't want it." And rather than ride on to try and deliver one to another rider, he just launched it. Next guy, no, I don't want it. He threw that as well. So he's appropriately lightening the load. Now he's got to give one of his own from the cages because he's run out. He didn't judge that very well at all, I'm afraid. But anyway, we've got 5 up the road, 2 remaining from Bardiani. We did have 2 from the Turkish national team. With Ahmet Orkan as their sprinter. I think they called back Batulan Ozgur, who was in the break. He's a 19-year-old, and he's a pretty handy sprinter. You can probably see that from the way he looked. Five in the break, 2 from Bardiani. We did have 2 from the Turkish national team, but one was called back for sprinting duties, I think lead out for Ahmet Orkan. That was Baturhan Ozgur, the 19-year-old, who is built like he is made of stone. Clearly powerful, and I think that he's going to be part of the lead-out duties for the Turkish national team a little bit later on. So he went back, but Sarkan Balkan is still here. Likewise, Alex Turin of Villiers Triestina, who started off this entire move for the breakaway. They've been out there. It was just starting to narrow. It got to about 54 seconds. The peloton, I think, realised that they were going to catch them, so they let them go again with 52 to go. This is about just dealing with today. It's not the most attractive course, as you can see. We could do with some more vistas, to be honest. Turkish Airlines. They always have a few takeoff and landing shots as primary sponsors of the race. And I have to say, it's a terrific airline. We've used it ourselves, of course. Flying in and out of this event on a number of occasions. We've always enjoyed our time in Turkey, Brian.
Very much so. I've holidayed here many times. I think we're looking at the Antalya airport, and
it's only because you got a discount, obviously. But.
Yeah, the flights coming out of there and shuttling back many people still from the UK into this part of the area. A beautiful part of the world, this, and you know, the crisp seas, and yeah, it's just, you know, the people are so lovely here. It's just a pity that you know, there's kind of high insecurity, but yeah, a great race.
He's getting himself a little treat, and he doesn't even have to open it. There you are, just one straight off the aircraft trolley. I'm not suggesting it was dropped from the sky. There he is. Enjoys a little bit of sweetness as I guess as a little treat. Have yourself a gel. Looks like it's just been taken off the sales rack, and he's busy doing a little film of him being filmed. He's filming us, filming him for you. That is Flavio Santos, 36 years of age. He was national champion a couple of years ago. Looks like he's kept hold of the jersey, riding for a South Brazil pro cycling team with Funvic as part of their sponsors. But that looks like an out-and-out national jersey to me. Not quite sure when the Brazil Nationals are. I'll check in a few moments' time. But created champion last year. He was also third in Uruguay, though, so he's pretty handy, and he is the veteran of this group. It might well count on his behalf a little bit later on, we'll see. We've got Simone Sterbini here and Vincenzo Albanese. They are the strongest of this breakaway, without doubt, from Bardiani. A team who've sent a strong team to this race, and they've got plenty of sprinting options as well. And having two guys up the front is allowing Enrico Barbin and Paolo Simeoni and Marco Maranose, all three equally good sprinters, to rest up a bit.
It kind of surprises me a little bit, especially Albanese being in the breakaway. Albanese is a young sprinter. He was fifth in the World's Under-23, and the 20-year-old's just going to the front now in the green, and 111 his number is. And you know, with this wind, you can just see the flag blowing. It's pretty much a predominant headwind. It kind of head cross on the finishing straight here, but definitely not a day to get in the breakaway with this predominantly kind of headwind, and three teams wanting to ride this down for a sprint finish. Okay, there's something up for grabs. There's the Beauty Sprint jersey. There's points for the points competition, and there's the King of the Mountains competition as well. One climb that comes up with just over 30 kilometres to go. So there's something for the breakaway to ride for, but for the peloton, they're just keeping them there. The maximum advantage they had was just over 2 minutes, and they're keeping there just over a minute. It was originally 6 riders, now 5 riders. Bora Hansgrohe, Trek Segafredo and Gazprom are the 3 teams riding at the front of the peloton, and making it very difficult for the breakaway to gain any time. And that's what surprises me, that the fact that Bardiani have come here with an attacking team, a good team, and you know, plenty of options. 4 riders disappeared down the road, and 2 of them, Sterbini and Albanese, went across on their own to make it 6 early on. So it's an interesting one. Obviously they missed the breakaway, and they were told to get in the breakaway, and they sent 2 riders across. For me, I don't know why Albanese's there, because I would have loved to have seen him battle it out with the likes of you know, Bennett and Towns in this type of finish.
Yep, I think he'd had a big option as well, but it's clear that they're going somewhere else. Paolo Simeone has been not well. He's a great sprinter, but he had a bad year of sickness, and in fact it was 2016 where he really shone brightly as a great prospect. So I think they've gone all in with him. There's been a few others as well who've had a continuing sickness. Matteo Palucchi, 2 years not very well. I understand it was a heart issue but I may be wrong on that. I just need to double check, but that rings a bell for me. But Matteo Pelucchi is here, and I think he'll go well today because he seems to be back to his best form. He'll be helping out Sam Bennett, but he could be an alternative card for Bora Hansgrohe. I think he'll be a super lead out for him with Michael Schwartzman as well, who can really turn a big gear when he needs to. So it's rolling highway just for the time being. You will see the best of Turkey over the next few days. I think today really it's about moving us away from Alanya down towards Kemesh, where we will finish today. And the building projects, as you can see, welcoming tourists for many, many years, dotting the hillside here. It may not look pretty from this view, but when you're up there, it gives you a spectacular view back down towards the coast. And it is a lovely part of the world to come on holiday, and it's a shame that they've been knocked back by their own troubles, but that's become global, of course. Everywhere seems to be just about as safe as anywhere else, but anyway, rather than going to the interior of the country, we're keeping it very much towards the southwest, and it is just stunning down towards the southwest. Fethiye is Brian's chosen place, by the way. Most summers, at the hottest period, you can go and see a very toasty Scotsman there. Don't even bother thinking about asking him to buy you a drink. Although he will accept a conversation if it looks like it's going the other way. 48 kilometres, just less. Brian's looking upset. We'll take a break, back in a moment. Welcome back. Well, we had some wind and it's just died. So, frankly, life's getting a bit easier for these guys. And indeed, I guess you might say, the chase as well. Gazprom, they've got Alexander Porsev. Villiers, they've got Belletti. Zizur is here to cut through the pack, maybe. See what I did there? With CCC Sprandi Polkovici. You just don't know. We're going to, in a few moments' time, join our entire Eurosport family, so you're getting that little extra bit of tidbits going on here. As you can see, the pedestrian bridge looks like it's been marshalled. Security people up there showing their badges. Well, the wind has ebbed, so I guess you might say it was a sort of a squally breeze that's squirreled off. It's gone. So has just about the gap, or the belief that the breakaway has anything other than a very, very slim chance. If you look at the trees here, they're just bobbing ever so gently, but nothing really of great significance. Although, as we've made the turn around the coast, in fact, we're starting now to think about the grand finale. Now, it's a fast approach until you get to about 2 kilometres to go. Then you have what is effectively a chicane. You take a left-hander. It's quite high speed nonetheless because it's a decent highway, and then the road gently bends towards the right and unwinds with about 1800 to go, and then it's more or less straight all the way to the line. So some good vision here. I think also a lot of space, and because of that, I think a lot of options. Those who don't really position well or find themselves boxed out on occasion or don't like a bump and a bruise, someone like Riccardo Minali can suddenly get themselves a bit of freedom and maybe a little belief. And Astana have come here with Minali involved for today. They've also got Klubeyev, the Russian, his name's Ruslan, so I always think he's a Russian, but he's actually from Kazakhstan. Anyway, you forgive me for that. But Klubeyev is a good lead-out man, and I think Minali's got a chance today.
Yeah, he's going to give it a good go, but Astana sitting back on the front. We can see Michael Schwarzman, the German rider, and an interesting story with Schwarzman. He was in the development team years and years ago with Ralph Denk, the owner of the Bora Hansgrohe team, and I can remember when the team of then it was sponsored by NetApp. Then it became NetApp Endura, and Schwarzman was one of these riders that the owner wanted to keep. Although he wasn't performing at the best, he wanted to keep because he wanted to progress him from the development all the way up to the ranks, and it's nice to see him at the front there in a World Tour team.
Here's the harbour of Antalya. A lot of wooden boats here. So wooden boat craftsmen as well operate here, and those great big dhows, I think they call them, you can hire them and indeed head yourself off into the wild blue yonder. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, you can have you can charter those boats They're not the cheapest things to charter, I must admit, but nonetheless, they're absolutely gorgeous. You get they're usually crewed for you, so you don't have to learn. So yes, so we're looking at Antalya at the moment because we've just had a bit of link issue towards the end of today. Roman architecture, you're going to get plenty of that, and you're going to be seeing an awful lot of it as well. This is Sida, the ancient city of, and as you can see, the old theatre there. They're not exactly selling tickets anymore, except to go and look at it. There's no plays on, but we're playing here. And right now, we're just going to play away for a moment while we try and get our live link back up for you. Back in a moment. Welcome back. The local space project just nearing completion by the looks of things. This is in fact the Ivivet minaret. It's absolutely beautiful. Sorry for the picture breakdown out front, but naught has happened, and as you can see, we've stitched it back together, and here we are, minute and 4, the gap. And so you didn't miss much, but thankfully we've repatched everything together, or our host broadcasters have, and you're looking at the head of the race. And the issue apparently was a solar flare. There we are. Solar flare indeed. I've no idea why that would be the case, but I know it's a decent excuse. We're just about to rejoin our entire Eurosport family, so you'll forgive us if we mention our solar flare, etc. in a few moments' time. Hands up, he wants more substance here. It's Flavio Santos, part of the breakaway, and the Brazilian went back earlier on. He eschewed any isotonic drink and just said, "Look, just give me water." And then once he got his water, he said, "Give me a Coke." Had that. He said, "Yeah, and a gel." He's high maintenance, this boy. He's gone back again. Yeah, exactly.
And it's so easy to have it. You know, they're going through the motions, and I wouldn't say they're riding full gas at the moment. And nice and easy. Put your hand up. The car comes up very quickly, and gives you what you need. Sometimes you have stages like this where it's, I wouldn't say monotonous, but you're going to be brought back. And,
surely not with us on board, Brian.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Well, the commentary is another thing altogether. But for the riders, they've been told to get in the breakaway. They've been told to battle out for the kind of minor competitions. And the minor competitions so far, Sprint 1 has gone to Albanese from Santos from Turin. The first beauty sprint, or the only beauty sprint today, was taken by Balkan from Turin, and Santos was in third.
Football in these parts of the world is just massive. When you get to Istanbul and you've got the two home teams which sit either side of the Bosphorus coming together, goodness me, batten down the hatches. The emotions run very, very high indeed. The Antalya Stadium, which is entirely solar powered, because there's a lot of sun here and they've got solar panels. It goes together. Today is going to be a sprint, and we've got about 50 minutes left, I reckon, because pace is going to pick up, and some teams, everyone wants to keep something back, because it may only be 6 stages, but this is always a hard-fought race, Brian, and you don't want to invest everything into what is a day where the differences will be marginal in terms of time at the end.
I think it's over the years, especially when it came up into the higher ranks of cycling events, it's become a very good event. Hard. The wind often blows, so you've got potential of crosswinds. Then we've gone into the hills, some spectacular scenery, as we've already mentioned, some great history as well involved with parts of this country. And it's got everything going for it. Now that it's moved into October, we still have the sun, which is good, because I've been here end of September, October, before, about 5 or 6 years ago, and there's a bit of rain and things like that, but it looks as if it's going to be perfect this week for the riders. A nice end of season race, and we're going to see some sprints. Looking forward to the next few days where we start to gets a little bit more lumpy. But I think the general classification battle will be in Selçuk in a few days' time in stage 4. We have got mountaintop finish. Okay, it's only a few kilometres long, but we've often seen battles there. And I can remember the battle just a few years ago when Adam Yates won the Tour of Turkey, and it was a nice race. And then afterwards we descended to the climb of Selçuk, went into the ancient town of what was it called?
Ephesus.
And then afterwards
we had an Efes. Efes is a beer. Ephesus is an ancient city, and when you've had a few Efes, you start saying Ephesus anyway. But what you're actually doing is ordering more beer. But yeah, and a lovely dry malty beer it is too for a lager, quite frankly. You can also have fruit juice, kids, of which they do some very good fruit juice here. One of the strange things they actually do here is cherry juice. I mean, I know they've obviously got a lot of cherries, and I'm very partial to a bit of cherry juice myself. But when I'm not in Turkey, I can't think of anything less I'd want to have. But when I come here, cherry juice it is.
Yeah, it's I as I said, I've been here for the last 5-6 years, and I love the people.
Cherry juice.
I love the food. I love everything about it. Maybe a little bit of cherry juice, not too much, but. For sure, it's it's one of my favourite kind of holiday or destinations, and I can remember coming here in the first few years of the Tour of Turkey, and I remember one year we brought our bikes as well,
yep.
And we're riding about, and everybody would look at you, look at these strange people on their bikes. But now I think everybody's warm to the fact, and everybody knows what's happening, and they get behind the. You can see them at the side of the road. I think 6-7 years ago, we never had this, and now we're starting to see people, the youngsters, people, the fans at the side of the roads getting behind their national tour.
I was wearing a Spam jersey, Spam being luncheon meat, and I thought as a bigger rider, I wouldn't pretend for one moment that I was anything other than. I think this is a memorial to the fallen by the looks of things, and there we are. Troubled country at the moment in terms of political and populist unrest, but it's nice to see that President Erdogan has made an announcement today, and just saying, look, in sports we consider it an opportunity to set our differences aside and discover our shared values, and I think there's a lot in that. And cycling, certainly nationally, brings disparate sides together, and I think that's what sport does. It's what the Olympics is all about as well. It offers up a balm, if you like, to some troubled times, not just in Turkey, it's global at the moment. And so we always feel privileged that, frankly, we don't work on the news desks, and we actually work in sport, which gives some light relief to life itself, I think it's fair to say. So yeah, we're going to enjoy it. Goodness me, Brian's your new order is just being delivered by Amazon. How much did that cost you? That's a lot of points. Absolutely glorious. Yes, it is a lovely part of the world, more welcoming than you can possibly imagine. Turkey, I can honestly say, I was saying before we came on air, I never actually feel more relaxed in a country than I do here. There's always something about, I don't know, you go to the Mediterranean in France, no disrespect to France, but you go into a restaurant, you feel very much like a spare part, and it's almost like at the behest of the waiter when it's like, could I have this? And there's a little shake of the head, and oh, maybe I'll try this, and then he nods and writes it down on the pad. It's almost as if you English have no idea. Come to Turkey, I don't know, just everything's so relaxed. The food is nice and relaxed as well. They've taken barbecuing to an entire other level, and quite frankly, it's right up my street. So so there you go. And if you're on an Atkins diet or one of those low carb diets, then this is your place. The wind is absolutely belting into us at the moment, and look at the white horses upon the water, and we've got ourselves an intermediate sprint that they're going to have to battle against. But this is going to throw a little spanner in the works potentially for everybody, Brian. So yeah, we're coming to this intermediate sprint right now.
Yeah, the first sprint was taken up by Albanese, so the next sprint is just coming up.
So, first man who started this all off, Alex Turin, just comes to the fore, as you can see. Some of the security bikes just coming through. Gosh, that's a glorious picture if you were advertising one single boat. Where are the rest of them? That's what I want to know. Absolutely spectacular. Maybe it's the president himself. It is the race of the president, don't forget, the presidential tour of Turkey. Little checks over shoulders here. Balkan, just very wary. I think Alex Turin maybe will show the same sort of pace as he showed a little bit early on to start this this breakaway, and Trek have picked up the cudgel and they're starting to beat everyone with it. The wind and the change of direction is beckoning, Brian, and so a little bit more pace is going to shake out some of the quicker men potentially, and this is for Edvard Turns. It's a strong team with Kyle Reinen as well as Kolodan and Alfaci. Trek know they can win this today and take the leader's jersey, and finally they're showing themselves.
Well, the wind does blow in this part of the world, and it blows off the sea. The wind coming from the left of the rider's shoulders, but I don't think it's enough. It's about 5-6 kilometres an hour, and I don't think it's enough. But in the past, this wind has caused a lot of concern for a lot of riders. You just see the team cars being pulled out the gap as the breakaway are just about to be caught very quickly now because of the increase in the tempo at the front of the peloton, because Trek Segafredo want to try and kind of open this race up. They don't want to sit back and just ride into Kimmich and expect a bunch finish, so they want to try and do something. And then you get the breakaway, Albanese trying to go, because this sprint is coming up. There's motorbikes, there's cars all involved, and we're coming up to the sprint line very shortly.
Yeah, we are, and it looks like it may well be the peloton that are going to be duking it out. There's points up for grabs, don't forget, as well as the sprinter's jersey, and the breakaway's been killed off with 30.8 kilometres to go, and this is all about Trek Segafredo suddenly picking up the pace. And nearest to them and staying with them, Astana at the moment, just hiding in, as you can see, working for Minali. Well, busy old time. Santos, last man standing, and do stand clear of the platform because there's a massive train coming through and it's just about everyone. Wow, we've got a race on, Brian, and this is looking feisty. Only 13 teams involved, but just about all personnel are locked together in this bunch.
Yeah, it's woken up the peloton for sure. We're about 500 metres away from this second sprint point, and you know, a lot of riders were just relaxing down the back of the peloton. Now they're racing towards the front because they don't want to be caught out with the crosswind. But I don't think it will break the peloton. I think as we start to move around this coast, it'll become a bit more of a headwind. But nice to see the likes of Trek Segafredo take it on. UAE coming up and just protecting their leader Ulysse, but you know, nice to see teams are not going to sit back. They're here to race, and that's what they're doing.
Well, they're not just protecting Ulysse, they're riding for Mirko Kumpf, and they've got Simone Consoni as well. So lots of options here, and of course there's bonuses up for grabs right now as well. Androni, Giocattoli, Gavazzi and Van Damme. I think this is Gavazzi who's having a dig here. Now, did he manage to nick it? We will get a result for you in a short while. I think it may well have been. That'll be useful a little later on potentially. 33.6 kilometres to go. A reassembly. Are you going to get anybody pushing on? And the answer is absolutely. Just kicking into it, was it Van Poppel who was just pushing on there? We'll wait and see. But this is the moment when Androni decided that they were going to try and take this as their sprint option, opening their account, if you like, at the top of the day, and doing a proper job. Good
looks
work.
Like yeah, Gavazzi taking that. Looked like Ulysse was up there in second place with one of the Turkish riders up there. They're having a good day today already. They placed well in the sprints, and also getting two riders in the original breakaway. But at the second sprint of the day, it's all back together with still 33 kilometres to go.
Now, this is going to be quite cagey now. As soon as anyone makes a move, it's likely to be neutralised. On the left-hand side of the pack here, you're seeing Veron Classic, and I think they've got a great option today. Justin Jules, I think, will get a podium. He's in fantastic form. He's come out of the back end of the season, having refound his mojo, as it were. A lot of tired legs out here as well. It's interesting to look through this group and just dwell on those. Jarrison Pantano, you just saw a few moments ago for Trek Segafredo. I think he's a very good bet for the title here. He climbs well, and there'll be some big gaps. The days where the big mountains don't feature generally tend to finish with a bunch, and so if you can stay with it, you make the difference in the climbs. Sounds like a sort of compressed Grand Tour, I guess you might say. No time trials here, but certainly I guess that serves to magnify the results in the mountains, and that's generally what's happened. Bit of a lockdown at the moment as everyone starts to get cagey and looks at each other. If you're going to see a team that's going to break, it's likely to be the men in Tangerine. They're over to the left-hand side of your picture here. That's CCC Sprandi Polkowice, a team that are due to accept Marco Kumpf. So he'll be part of the Tangerine boys from Poland once Marco has finished duties for UAE Emirates. But he is the chosen man, or would have been, had he not been on the move to CCC Sprandi next year. I reckon that that might mean that Consoni, who does stay next year, might be the chosen sprinter for Team Emirates. But don't be surprised if Diego Ulissi himself goes for it. He's reasonably quick when the absolute top draw sprinters are absent. Turkey want to just show their jersey, so the Turkish national team just set a satellite rider for now up the road. Well, it's tempted a bridge, and I think this is going to be Varun Classic that tries to get over. No, it's Bardiani, in fact, that are trying to join him. Can't quite see who it is. It'll be someone like Mirko Maestri, I imagine, by the time we get down there. But 31.3 and storm clouds. There's dark clouds over there where the hills are. Generally tends to be a rain shadow on the coast, so the rain itself tends to fall on the high ground. And so mountainous is Turkey, as you can see, that you sort of skirt around it, and a lot of places remain dry even when there's showers in the locale. We'll see how this one pans out. And in fact, it's Alessandro Tontelli who's gone up from Bardiani here, and in fact drawing a modest response, but this is not going to be allowed to get away, Brian. They will start powering in unless they really are also rounds that go up the road.
We'll get 5 riders now just off the front of the peloton, mainly because the first King of the Mountains is coming up. It's the 4th category climb, and it's coming up very, very shortly. This is why we're seeing some activity. It all came back together at the end of Antalya, and now we're starting to head up the coast road to this first climb of the day.
Good work by Ulissi, getting himself some bonus points here. Also seconds count, of course. And everyone will by the time we get to the end today. There is a category 4, so it's more or less a road bridge that we're going to be dealing with. It's so the jersey can be awarded, but you know, that's no small beans to some of these teams, and they'd like to have that, thank you very much. Unfortunately for them, it looks like UAE are going to come and join the fun, and that usually means firepower. Trek have also decided to join in, and with 30 kilometres to go, our climb is indeed beckoning, and there will be a jersey for the first man across the line. It's well worth having, Brian.
For sure, and that's why we're seeing a lot of the Turkish national team jerseys towards the front. They haven't kind of really missed a beat. They've been up there in the sprints, they've been up there, 2 riders in the original breakaway of 6, and they're still going on the attack, and yet again they're at the front, and they're just thinking of trying to get on the podium at the end of today's stage.
To be honest, according to my road book, at least, they've already been through the King of the Mountains, but it has not been awarded yet. Didn't see the air bridge either. Then again, I've seen those taken down because of the wind.
But the last sprint was 3 kilometres out as well. Yep. But this is the climb here, just in front of us.
Yeah, at long last. Kamersh is where we're going, so 32 k's from that, according to the sign. So it looks like the ticker is indeed out by about 3 kilometres. Confirmation of, thanks to the road signs, which are actually correct. So yes, a little bit of graphical error going on for you. Bardiani, still thinking about this King of the Mountains jersey. Anyone else going to be tempted? I don't know, it's too big a task. The team, the main players are a bit twitchy about letting anyone go off and up the road, and Bora have reinstated themselves at the front here, Brian.
Yeah, they have. They just want to take control of things. They don't want a big group going away. This is the battle for the King of the Mountains jersey. Bardiani rider just in front, expecting something from the Turkish team. They haven't kind of really missed too much today, but it's Bardiani trying to slip the peloton here to take maximum points at the top of this drag. Oh, sorry, hill or mountain.
It is a climb. It's only category 4. and it's nothing too much to trouble anybody. Yeah, too much at stake to be ignored. So that's the reason why you're seeing Turkey come out, CCC Sprandi, and of course the aforementioned Veyron Classics, who are likely to look very, very lively. Can't quite see who that is. Is it Doriet, the leggy Belgian? For Veyron Classic, we'll confirm that for you in a moment. 28.8 to go. Still not quite there, but just about. In fact, the distance markers are facing the wrong way for our camera. At least the riders are seeing it. Good sterling effort here. Good on them, to be honest, for pushing out. But Bardiani have been in just about everything. They had 2 in the early move. Strange that Albanese was up there, because he could have been worthy at the end. Getting rid of some ballast. That was a full bottle that just went, so he saved himself half a kilo. Picks it up yet again. Well, he's shake of the head, and I think he's going to get mugged just towards the end. I told you that the men in their luminous tree frog jersey were going to have to be one to watch, and they've decided to engage right now. Unfortunately for them, so has everybody else. And they've still got 500 metres, and I'm afraid they are doomed. Here you go. So it's Androni that are kicking on as well. And Bardiani still have 3 here. They're getting greedy, Bardiani. They want everything. They might just get it today.
Yeah, they're riding really aggressively. Looks as if they're leading out now for this sprint. We say sprint is the only king in the mountains, but Bardiani really want this jersey, want maximum points at the top of this climb.
And it looks like they may well get it if CCC don't come up on the inside, and that's precisely what's happening. František Zizar is a big brute. Don't think this is him, but he'll be featuring towards the end. It's turned into a proper sprint, has it not? Did he get there? Oh, just got beat. Sat up at exactly the wrong time. And this camera bike just pulling to one side, and it's a bit of a squeeze to get through. That was nicely duped out.
It was. The first one across that line was going to be on the podium with a jersey, and that's why it was hotly contested. We'll just wait for the confirmation on that, but definitely Bardiani got that one from CCC, and we're seeing it again. You know, a sea of green at the front, good lead out. At this moment in time, the rider from CCC was in the lead, but just ran out of steam, and the rider from Bardiani got maximum points with Bora Hansgrohe in 3rd.
Yeah, good work. Feisty work. And indeed, now we come through this cut in the mountain and back down coastline, as you can see. A little bit protected by the high ground, which is why all of a sudden the wind appears to have dissipated. However, it'll pick up again, I am certain, as we head down towards Khmer. We're only 27 k's away from the finish line. It'll be busy. Well, today's had its high points, if not geographically. We had a little bit of a lump just a few moments ago. But today, it's about the finish line. It's going to be for the fast men, and really their only opportunity to shine, bro.
Yeah, today, but I think there'll be other opportunities, but today I think there's a lot of teams that want it to come down to a sprint. Bora Hansgrohe for sure, Trek Segafredo, although they've tried something to split the peloton, I think they would look at the opportunity of a sprint. They've already been riding most of the day today. Gazprom as well for Porsev, but you know, we've had 2 sprints today, 1 beauty sprint, and we've just had the King of the Mountains, just waiting for confirmation of that. But I think one of the big winners already today is Ulysse. Ulysse taking 2nd in the 2nd sprint of the day, taking a 2-second bonus, and he comes into this race as one of the main favourites, and it is going to come down to some seconds. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. There is 10, 6 and 4 in the bonus. That's consistent with all World Tour events, and but I think that'll be taken by the sprinters. But yeah, interesting to see that when it all came back together, UAE were on it, and Ulysse delivered a good sprint there to take that 2-second bonus.
He may well need it, and it could, of course, add to his fighting fund, if you like, in terms of seconds gained on everybody else by the end of today. 10, 6 and 4 at the line, so if he gets a useful finish today, Ulysse, at least amongst the GC men, if the sprinters are allowed to hoover up the rest of the bonuses, he's going to find himself very close to the podium and may well move on to it when we get to the higher ground. He's clearly capable, and starts this race as, I reckon, out-and-out favourite, although there'll be some like Atapubra and Pantano who will have some options later on. Maybe Leo Koenig as well. You work with him, Brian. Bora Hansgrohe these days. But Leo Koenig, the Czech, he's had some great results in what's been a long career, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a world-class rider. Just a pity that he gets recurrent knee problems. I worked with him for quite a few years. I organised his move into to Team Sky. But I can remember the first stage of the Grand Tour when he won in the Vuelta. And then obviously he's had some great results, finishing up there the top 10 in the Tour de France. But it's just been dogged by injury, but certainly a world-class rider. And we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I don't think he's on the form to kind of match the other riders in this race. But it has been confirmed that Bardiani have the King of the Mountains jersey, the first King of the Mountains jersey of this Presidential Tour of Turkey. And it's not Albanese, but in fact Barbin that took that King of the Mountains sprint from Perluta from CSC.
Good lad. Well, Barbin will be lead-out man again a little bit later on for Paolo Simeon. See how they go. They've certainly been extraordinarily busy today, and with Albanese up the road, we were sort of thinking to ourselves, why on earth has he done that to himself, especially as he went so well in the Worlds. Fifth in the under-23s there. What a fantastic race that was. Loved the World Championships this year, Brian. It was spectacular. Live, of course, every single race here on Eurosport.
Yeah, it was really exciting. The races were pretty open and hotly contested. And going with that, I've loved a lot of the Italian one-day races at the end of the season and the build up to Eo Lombardi on Saturday. They certainly know how to race and want to race, and they've been ridden aggressively.
Just saying hi to one of our old Turkish friends, Feyzi. Spent some wonderful times with Feyzi. He's the on-site commentator for many years on the Tour of Turkey. Lovely bloke, and not only that, he'll fix your teeth for you. It's just, what a friend to have. We wish you well. 24 kilometres then from home, and pace is up. This is going to be dealt with in pretty short order, Brian. When we see the 20 to go, they're already in colour order actually on this what is bound to be a quick approach. Eugenio Alfacci it is. For Trek, just bedded in here behind Bora, who are represented out front here by Leo Koenig, who's done a lot of back work for others. Just keeping the pace where it needs to be at the moment, stretching his legs. Looking back through the pack, CCC, what about them today? What about Zizzer to cut his way through?
Well, he is, the fastest man in that team, the Pro Continental second division team from Poland. But Bora Hansgrohe, Trek Segafredo, Gazprom with the original teams controlling things at the front. Now it's down to Leopold Koenig from Bora Hansgrohe at the front. Trek Segafredo have still got Alfacci riding. He's ridden pretty much all day today in this stage of 176.7 kilometres in length, but it's just everybody's kind of waiting a little bit. They know that the sprinters teams are starting to control things, but I still think there will be some activity once the riders start to see the kilometre boards of the running. When you start to see 10 to go, 5 to go, we may see some activity, but I'm afraid I think it's going to come down to a sprint today.
Just look at that. I'm going to have to order myself a sweet bass tonight. We'll take ourselves a break while we ponder what sort of shallot and honey sauce we're going to go for. Back in a moment. Welcome back. They're all in the tunnels at the moment. By the way, there's the some of the shrouded bus stops. They're little cafe vendors, and in fact the nut seller. We haven't heard the nut seller yet, have we? He hasn't been by yet. The nut seller, the famous nut seller of Alanya, which follows the race generally speaking. He sells peanuts, which are cooked in sort of a honey and what's the gravelly stuff they put with it? Right.
I don't know.
No, neither do I. I think it's honey and then rolled in demerara sugar, and then put out to dry. They're gorgeous. But, you can't eat a lot. Just speculating on bags.
Here is crunching, you know what was happening.
You'll know
The
that
Nutman's been.
the nut seller has been by. He's fantastic. I'll dig out a photo of him. I took a picture a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's fantastic. He toasts his own peanuts and then he dips them in honey. And then rolls them in demerara sugar and leaves them out in the sun to dry, and they are delicious. But quite frankly, the sugar hit is just off the scale. After about 3 peanuts, you've just about had enough. Great breakfast if you're really short and late. Gets you going. As does Turkish coffee. I never understood why they don't filter it. Anyway, we move on.
But Turkish tea is absolutely beautiful.
Have you ever had the flower tea? Have you gone for the flower tea?
No.
Oh, just spectacular. Just ask for flower tea next time. It's basically a flower blossom. It's a honeysuckle blossom. They take that, make tea out of it, and it's just off the scale. It's the most refreshing, gentle thing you can possibly imagine. Anyway, 19.5 kilometres, Brian's eyes to the sky. He's got his specs on, mainly because sun specs though. It's bright here, except they're going into the darkness of the tunnel. Yet another one, and it's Trek that are leading them in at the moment. We're all together with 19.4 to go, so it'll give us a chance to dwell on the powerboats. The Samuel Gulnyuk, probably a bar, not quite sure. But anyway, there's only one patrol boat out there. Looks like everyone else has kept it berthed today. Who's your favourite, Brian?
Well, it has to be Sam Bennett, doesn't it? He is the fastest of the riders on paper, from what I can see, and especially the result he had about 10 days ago in the Munsterland Giro. So you have to think that Sam Bennett is the favourite for today's stage. But I think a couple other riders just thrown in the mix. We've already mentioned them. Edward Toynes, who's been sprinting well, strong enough, and I think this slightly uphill sprint, if Sam Bennett doesn't get it right, then certainly it suits the likes of Toynes. And you have to think that Gazprom have got Porsev. But you know, when we look at maybe some of the other sprinters, Gavazzi has already won one of these sprints. You know, he'll be there. Belletti from Willa Tristina. And let's not forget the Turkish national team. I've got Ahmet Orkin, who's always good for a top 6 result.
Yeah, he is. I think he's on the move, isn't he, next year? I can't remember where Ahmed is going, but oh yeah, it's the Israeli Cycling Academy. So you'll see Ahmed Orkan riding for them. Still, Trek look absolutely solid today, and this will be for Edward Toynes. I think I'm going to go for him as my favourite, but the cheeky outsider is Justin Jules of Veyron Classic. He is a super power man. And if it's wide open, he hasn't got really any lead out to speak of, but if it opens up, expect to see the Tree Frog Green or Dayglow Yellow, whichever you want to call it, of Veyron Classic coming to the fore, and it will be the young Frenchman who digs in. He was 4th in Paris-Bourges, and he's on a bit of a roll of late, so I think he'll be there. Always CCC Spandy in the Tangerine as well. Have you done a cheeky side bet to add to Sam Bennett, who we both think will win?
I'll probably go for the UAE sprinter, Marco Kump.
Yep. It wasn't so much named as dropped, Kumpf. So I always think. But anyway, that's just me. He's heading for CCC. I'm not sure he's going to get the opportunity today because of that move hanging over the team. I think Consoni might be the man that they have to back up, but the Spaniard Marco Kumpf is indeed the boy that would be naturally the principal. He is. I don't know why I call him anything else. Mainly because he's written down as Spanish on the start list.
Sounds Spanish, that name.
Yeah, Kumpf. Yeah, Kumpfez. Anyway, Slovenian. 16.7. It is on the start list. It's got it down as Spanish. I've seen some strange ones on this. They've actually transposed all the names, I notice, of Bardiani. So yes. Their surnames have become their forenames, but that's just us. With a minor complaint, not given to doing that too much, especially in a lovely country like this. 16.4 kilometres then from home. Pace has changed completely. It might get a bit cagey on the approach, but really, when's this going to open up, Brian? We've got this one major turn to be dealt with. just before it opens up with 1,800 metres to go.
I can only think that they're going to leave it late because all the teams are saying that 3 teams are sitting at the front. Trek Segafredo with Apache, Leopold Koenig is there for Bora Hansgrohe, and Pavel Brut is there for Gazprom. So you've got 3 strong riders trying to control the peloton. So you can attack, go down the road, but you're going to have to take maybe 4 or 5 riders with you if you want to try and stay away. So they know that the pace is high enough to deter any attack. So everybody's just thinking of the sprint and saving that little bit of energy. I still think there will be some attacks within the last 5 kilometres, but I think until then the pace is too high. It's going to stop any attacks happening, and we're going to see a sprint. But who knows, in the last couple of kilometres a couple of riders could clip off, but I can't really see it myself, and we are going to see yet another sprint finish here in Kimmich.
That looks like an old beast, doesn't it? Maybe that's just me. I'm not up on the helicopters. 15.4 to go then. Trek dominating the pace just for the time being. Gazprom laying in wait. That's for Alexander Porsev. You've got Scissor from CCC Spandy, so the Tangerine Dream are also getting themselves ready to impose themselves. Bardiani have some options with Simeone Maranozzi, beg your pardon, and Enrico Barbin. Gavazzi on Vadam for Androni as well will make a nuisance of themselves. 15 to go, and Astana, you know, they've kept it nice and quiet today. They've been up there as a constant. There's question marks always on Riccardo Minali's positioning, but today will offer him an opportunity, I think, and he's not got a bad lead-out train. The Kazakh Andrei Zaitz will get involved, so will Dmitry Gruzdev. Hlubeyev is, though, the master lead-out for Astana, with Minali going to be released late. I didn't know you could do this in 2s, Brian. I think we've got our evening activity sorted.
You can actually do it in 3s as well. I've seen that.
I'm not having that.
No.
14.5 kilometres from home. More on that later. We'll give you a report back as to what the view was like up there. Right now, down on the ground, it's about Trek. Bora buying the right to fight up front, as you can see, and Gazprom just tucked in. But what about Bora with... it's got to be Sam Bennett. Will Palucki be given a free hand?
Sometimes that does happen. He's a definitely talented sprinter, good bike rider, but he's just not had the right run of health and injury and things like that. But you know, when you don't think he's going well, he pops up with the good results. But I'm not too sure he'll be up there today. I think it'll be purely behind Sam Bennett today, but you never know. But for Bora Hansgrohe, it is about the sprint today. Same for Trek Segafredo, although they've got Pantano there for a potential overall, and they're kind of looking after him. It's the rider at the back of the kind of red train just out the saddle now. And also Porsev, but you know, they've got ambitions, Gazprom in the blue, for maybe an overall with maybe, I don't know, Furzanov. They've got a couple of good riders in there, but for Astana in the light blue, they're just sitting back because, okay, they've got one sprinter here, the young Italian Riccardo Minali, but they've got certain ambitions for the overall with Chernetsky and possible Jesper Hansen as well, and I think it's about looking after them and maybe potentially looking at the overall more than potentially helping out Minali for the sprint. Although they'll look after him, I think Minali might have to kind of look after himself a little bit, because I think Astana are here possibly to look at the overall victory.
I think you're right. They'll be playing a long game, Astana, for Chernetsky and Jesper Hansen. 13 kilometres to go, still cagey. We expect it to be like this for much of the approach. That is a very well-trimmed craft, the water police, as you can see. Yeah, looking like it's sitting rather nicely upon the choppy waves. So yeah, well done to the man who's just worked the trim. 12.8 kilometres then from home. It's they're not hanging around. It's a pace that, gosh, look at in the shadows the way that CCC's bike frames glow. It looks like they're a sort of a drain clearance company, doesn't it? Of note, which I won't name, but anyway, I would if they were sponsors, but they're not. It's CCC. Have Dyna-Rod ever sponsored a cycling team?
Do I think they have?
No, sorry, it slipped out. Couldn't help it. There is this track. Other drain clearing companies are available. It's Gazprom as well, and they're on the nose, pumping it just for the time being. Nikolai Trusov is setting the tempo, as you can see. He's doing a great job. Very a la Kiri, but slightly less upright than Kirienka is. A good core strength as well. And just look how solid his torso is as the rest of him does the work. Super job. Nice look. There is Astana as well in the pale blue. Bora just massing with their aquamarine helmets. And this is all about Sam Bennett. Looking at the way they've already teed themselves up. They're waiting to respond should anyone try a naughty one, and just about to do exactly that are Turku. They're coming up on the right-hand side as we look at it from this view. They'll suddenly nose into view on the right-hand side of your screen here. Turku want to play, and where are you? There they are. They're coming up on a line, and there's 5 of them. They're going to get involved, and they're going to push on early.
Yeah, they are. It's still the Gazprom rider at the front in the blue, Pavel Brut, and also Alfaci for Trek Segafredo and Leopold Koenig. But it's a little bit of a headwind. Okay, it's not too strong at the moment, but it's a little bit of a headwind. And, you know, everybody's sitting back in the peloton may think that... oh, it's nice and easy until they pop their nose into the wind, and then it gets a little bit harder. But you can just see the team of Turkey just having a quick chat. I don't think they're surprising a few people now coming to the front this early on, because to do it with the national team all the way into the finish at this sort of distance with the wind coming into the face of the riders, I think the other riders that are already at the front are going to take advantage of this. But this is a confident move from the team from Turkey.
Yeah, it is, and it was flagged up a few moments ago. You saw them just starting to think about it. I think this may well be about just promoting the race and the nation to be seen to come into town at the head of proceedings, just ahead of the sprint, even if they're not going to be hyper involved at the end. But I think Ahmed Orkan is a good choice for them, and he's capable.
Yeah, you just see he's trying to manoeuvre himself. He's put his team up towards the front. He's trying to manoeuvre himself behind some of the Trek Segafredo riders. He doesn't want to sit behind his own teammates. So I think it's a case of I'm here. I'm putting my team on the front, and I'm here to try and sprint myself.
Yep, most certainly. And well, they've got the pace about them at the moment. Just looking through, and Trek now will be relieved that they're not going to have to do all of the approach work for Ted Tones. 10.4 to go. It's a proper pace, this.
It is, and nice to see the Turkish national team actually come up, and it'll give confidence to their sprinter Ahmed Orkan. He's up against some of the world's fastest sprinters, so it's going to be an interesting one, and see if they can keep it going all the way to the finish in the last
CCC
10 kilometres.
Are going to stop them if they possibly can. The boys in Tangerine are on the move. Well, can they? Will they? It would be an amazing performance if they manage to deliver. Right now, they're shedding personnel with 10 kilometres to go. Too early, Brian? It looks like it to me.
Yeah, very early, but you can just see that they're talking within themselves. One big turn from one of their riders, and he kind of swings off. That's his turn done. And if they keep this up, then the rider in third place, Pavel Brut, will be back on the front with 8 kilometres to go.
Sprandy. They've got Franciszek Zizler, the Czech, and he is just dragging it up with his mates. Just out of sight on the right of your screen is UAE making a move into a little bit of open highway. There's a lot of space to play with here, Brian. That can be a bad thing on occasion. You give too many options to teams.
Certainly, there's plenty of road space. There's you don't really have to fight. You can afford to kind of sit back somewhat. You can just see Bora Hansgrohe on the left-hand side in the black with the green helmets, just sitting back at the moment. But yeah, it's some strange fans around here, though.
There are. Old Rex here, he's fantastic. He'll be playing the piano a little bit later. Obviously a very tiny piano, doing got little hands. 9.1 kilometres then from home. One of the big turns. The wind wasn't a major factor today, but certainly been a sapping one, and this will not have been an easy ride for many.
Some of the roads here are still heavy up and down, and this coast road is up and down, but it is a predominantly kind of headwind. No real panic at the moment because it's only a kind of small peloton, and there's plenty of room to move up on the left or the right, but the team on the front in the white, or the red and the whites, are the national team from Turkey, but some of the other teams are starting to move up on each side of them now.
Just under 9 kilometres to go, and it's gone from cagey to a bit nervy right now. Interesting as well to see that UAE with Atta Puma doing a little bit of early work. He'll be expecting backup when it comes to the mountains, but the Colombian just helping the drive into town right now. We're just coming up to this little hillock. It does rise and fall ever so slightly on the approach. Nothing too serious when we get to the line, but there's a little kind of pickup. Only 1% to the line, but they might find it a bit wearing in the last 500 metres. But we do come down and into town. There's a sort of a ski ramp run in from about 3 k's. In fact, we're away from the coast here. We're coming down to Harbourside essentially, and it sounds like they've allowed the local schools out yet again to welcome everybody. This is nice to see. A couple of grabs of I think that was just high fives that were going through with the Borough boys there. I don't think they were actually taking any water or anything. 7.9 to go though, and Astana spear up centre of using the centre line of the road. CCC look very lively, and in fact still largely complete. Many teams will be though, Brian. There's been a few teams that have been prepared to take on much of the legwork. Trek Segafredo have done a lot. Have they done too much?
We'll have to wait and see, but they have put Alfacci on the front. He's still on the front now. He's been at the front pretty much all day today. Through Antalya, they came to the front and trying to split the peloton. That never happened, but I think you've got to try, and certainly Trek Segafredo are here to try and win this bike race, whether it's for the overall or for this stage. They're putting everything in. Bora Hansgrohe as well. Gazprom have put some riders up towards the front, but there seems to be a little bit of urgency in the peloton. I don't think they have to kind of panic too much at the moment. Plenty of road space, still 7 kilometres to go, slight headwind. It's slight rises and falls all the way to the finish. And as you rightly said, the finish is slightly uphill on these kind of paving stones, these kind of Turkish paving stones, and I think there's no real panic at the moment.
Yeah, those paving stones can rattle a bit because they put expansion gaps in them, and they don't lay them solid, so they don't basically fracture themselves in the heat, and you get great extremes of heat. When we get into winter, it does get cold here, very cold, but the summertime temperatures are just spectacular, around about the 40 mark as a constant, but you can always find a breeze. Indeed, you can always find yourself a cup of tea, as my gran used to say. Nothing cools you down like a cup of tea. She was nuts. 6.7 kilometres from home then, and UAE in bossing mode. One fast man we haven't mentioned is Manuel Belletti for Wilier Triestino. I haven't really dwelt too much on him, but he could go well.
He can do. They've got plenty of options. They had a rider in the breakaway Turin. They've got Daniel Martinez potentially for the overall, and they're just sitting back, allowing the other teams to try and take control. I think with this type of roads, this type of run-in, I think the pinch point with 2 kilometres to go is a point where you have to be towards the front. Until then, you can afford to sit back a little bit and save your energy.
Well, Leo Koenig is having an amble at the moment, and that to me looks like if you thought he was going to be gunning for the GC, then think again, right?
Yeah, he's just done a bit of work on the front since Antalya. He's been on the front for Bora Hansgrohe, done his work and has swung over, and we'll just ride into the finishing line. Well, the team of UAE, the World Tour team on the left-hand side, you can just see in the red and the white. The local team, the Turkish team on the blue, Pavel Bridge still there looking after Porsev, and yeah, just no panic at the moment. A few teams just trying to take control of this, the front of the bunch, but no real danger. The Wheeler Triestina riders just there freewheeling down this slight descent.
Yeah, this is going to bring us down towards about 2 kilometres to go, Marcus, so the pace is going to get very, very high indeed. and CCC Sprandi wants part of it. This is František Zizar. They got Jonas Koch as well, who will be part of the lead out. Paluta can go quickly as well, and they believe so do many teams here. 5.2 kilometres to go. It's the end of what's been a reasonably calm introduction into the Presidential Tour of Turkey. This race is one of those that's a little bit of a conundrum, hard to figure out. We've got 4 World Tour teams and a lot of other teams that would like some World Tour points, quite frankly. Thank you very much, especially some of those from the Continental Division who would really love to shine brightly here and take some big scalps, and they're capable of doing it. UAE, one of the World Tour boys, absolutely rock solid at the moment and looking good for it too. Consoni seems to be the protected man. We'll see whether it is indeed going to be Marco Kumpf. Consoni at the back of that line there looked in a comfortable position. Kumpf wasn't visible. 4.6 kilometres then, with Trek Segafredo and Bora coming up to the front. Trek for Ed Turns, Bora of course for Sam Bennett of Ireland, who's on spectacular form. He's taken some big names or put them behind him on a number of occasions, and in fact recently as well in Munster. Here is CCC. You can't miss them with their day glow. It almost fizzes the eyes. 4.3 kilometres to go then. Reasonably straight roads, couple of kinks in it, but absolutely arrow straight with 1800 to go, albeit with a little drag at the end. I'm looking forward to this.
Exactly. On the right hand side you can see Bora Hansgrohe in the middle in the orange. CCC, Trek Segafredo are just behind them. And then to their left you can see the white jerseys, the red helmets of UAE, and then on the left hand side you can just see the green of Bardiani.
Big shoulders being involved here from Androni Zajdemek. They're on nursing duties, just trying to see who it will be. Van Dam and Gavazzi involved, and you see on the left hand side of your screen as well, as you're looking at it right now, but right hand side of the road, Justin Jules' men, Veran Classic, are also getting into position. When you've got this much highway to play with and the curves are gentle, you can always go the long way round where you'll find road space. And as that opens up, you see teams almost with a split affair here, some staying on the left, some staying on the right. Those who are best marshalled are in colour order as a lead-out train already, because we've only 3.4 kilometres to go. We're on the last of the little testy hillocks here. They'll get over the top, and Astana want a quick run in for Minali here, and they're dead centre of the road. Trek have got an eye on them with the white helmets and the red and black. Willia Triestina with a familiar gold, red and black are on the right hand side of your screen, left hand side of the road. They look like they're struggling to stay in touch with each other at the moment. They've done a lot of work today, but it's Belletti for them, and CCC starting to grab for it just a little bit. Looking in control, Astana for Riccardo Minali. They look absolutely solid and determined. UAE on their case at the moment. There's our finish line just starting to beckon. We'll have the 2Ks to go marker coming up fairly shortly, unless that tickers out. I think the ticker is out by a couple of kilometres. They haven't amended it by the looks of things, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still the two teams of Trek Segafredo and Bora Hansgrohe on the right hand side, a bit pushing and shoving, trying to push out the Turkish rider, and a few riders trying to mingle in with some of the other teams. But this is a big battle for this pinch point coming up with 2 kilometres to go now. Yeah, and it's looking a little bit laboured, as you can see. Spare personnel just being dispatched after a strong lead out, and it's looking like they're suffering. CCC Sprandi, but they want to dominate it as we get to the rise. Still haven't got to our descent, so we are not at 2.2 kilometres as far as I can gather. Oh my goodness. Well, when you go pop, you really do here. We're searching for the road markers because the ticker is in error, I believe. So time to get yourself into order and begin. Big turn coming up. Yeah, this is the pinch point, the roundabout. They'll swing left here and then swing right, and you really have to be in position, and that's why we had a lot of riders that give 100% for their sprinter to put them in the best possible position. But it's still a long way to go to the finish, and it's pretty much straight, with Trek Segafredo now at the front. Stana are also there. Bora Hansgrohe are coming up in the right hand side and seem to have the numbers. Yeah, they do. Crash. Oh, and well, that will favour those who are in a safer place. UAE have been hampered here, and there's plenty of others on the deck. Jesper Hansen is down and not getting up, I'm afraid, for Astana.
Well, there we are. As soon as you get to the rough surface, safest place to be would be out front, and it's CCC Sprandi, big hit, and that is nasty fall. It shows you the pace that they were taking on that little downhill run. Kicks up again, the line beckons 1.2 kilometres from home. We'll stick with that. They're on this difficult to read surface. It's Mühlberger, the Austrian champion, for Bora Hansgrohe, and Sam Bennett, who's still safe in a great place. If you were well positioned for that, Brian, you're in a happy place right now.
There's only about 20 odd riders left. Everybody will be given the same time because of that crash. So inside the last kilometre, and it's the favourites, Bora Hansgrohe with Sam Bennett on the wheel.
Minali's embedded in here, but he's staying with Trek Segafredo. He's got rid of all of his lead-out train right now, so he's going to do it all on his own. Pulucki also in the frame here. Trek Segafredo, though, are digging for gold with Edward Tones. The question is, can Sam Bennett stop him? There is Sam Bennett, closest to the barriers right now. He's a big man with one lead-out man remaining, and he's coming up. He's got some pace. This is a big drive in, doing some superb work here. Oh, this is Shane Archibald is doing a fantastic lead-out job. His the base of his mullet at the moment almost flapping in the face of Sam Bennett. When's Sam going to go? He goes right now. He's on the left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of the road. Sam Bennett, he's digging in with Minali on his case. Sam Bennett versus Milani. Ted turns his weight to take over as well, but Sam Bennett's going to get to the line here. Oh, fantastically well delivered, right when it counted. Just popped out there, Edward Tones, to try and beat him at the line. Wow, could have done with being a little bit longer for Tones, but Sam Bennett has delivered here. Bora Hansgrohe started off as the day's favourite. That's always a difficult title to live up to, but he did it so well. A big man, home first.
Yeah, the favourite one. Sam Bennett's come here with some good legs and a good lead out there from his team. And Shane Archibald never really panicked. They call him the flying mullet, and he came flying up there inside the last few hundred metres and delivered Sam Bennett perfectly. I think it was Gavazzi got up there for Androni. But you know, a very hard, slightly uphill finish, and just see the effort of Sam Bennett there. He gave it everything. He comes away with a win.
Well, the bullet comes to say hello. Meanwhile, I'm afraid we've got some wreckage here. Alfonso Murillo is back up on his feet. Can't see anyone still down. Sam Bennett with a great result. Said he was on good form, Brian. He's taken some big scalps, and he's opened his scout here beautifully. He'll be our leader.
Yeah, luckily they stayed safe there, but that was a big effort there. You can just see it was a difficult one. Okay, it's the first stage of 6, but that wasn't an easy one. It was slightly uphill, a hard sprint. Congratulations there from the Austrian champion Mühlberger, but I think Bora Hansgrohe rode the perfect race today. Good sprint in the end. We'll just wait for the final results, but definitely an Irish win today in the colours of Bora Hansgrohe.
Good man. Beautifully delivered. They worked hard, but they weren't frying themselves. I've got a feeling that Trek did precisely that, I'm afraid.
Oh, Trek were leading out at the moment. Perfect place, out of trouble. And just seeing the right-hand side, Shane Archibald bringing up Sam Bennett. No panic. Minali's also there. Zurlo was there for UAE. And also coming up, you had Koch for CCC. At this stage, he's still waiting for the sprints, and it looks as if Ben Fato is for the Androni team. It takes second with just in the inside there, a battle for the minor places, and I think it was Ted Towns takes that from Zordo. In fact, yeah, it's 36 is Ted Towns. So yeah, Towns takes a third place there. Sam Bennett in first, but looks as if that was Ben Fato there, Marco Ben Fato from Androni, that takes a nice second place, with Zurlo there for the UAE in fourth place.
Yeah, surprised that Gavazzi wasn't involved. We said a few had been shaken out today. Ed Tones got himself a bonus of 4 seconds, but 10 went to Sam Bennett. Because of the accident, everyone will have the same time, so those that picked up bonus seconds out on roads like Litzi will be well placed in fourth today. Yeah, great effort and a good push by Ben Fato. Edward Tones coming across the line for the 4-second bonus in third place, but Sam Bennett getting 10 and 10 seconds bonus, which means he is our glorious leader. Mountain bikers having done their thing. Somebody's posted a picture of me in a Spam jersey. Yeah, I got a modicum of abuse after riding through a Turkish market wearing that, then realised afterwards the reason why. It wasn't just sartorial. Nonetheless, congratulations offered up. That was Edward Tones just saying well done, and great teamwork. But having a great team around you is one thing, but standing up to expectations takes a lot, and he's used to functioning in the limelight, the Irishman. Sam Bennett, great win today.
He's got good legs, and he's had a big win about 10 days ago, and obviously road cycling is not just the popular cycling discipline here. There's a lot of mountain biking here, as we can see, but for sure Sam Bennett was one of the favourites, and he delivered in the end. Toynes had to settle for third place, but a nasty crash there coming in at that pinch point. That's what everybody was battling for, and it happened about 20-25 back. Everybody will be given the same time, of course, but at the end of the day, you don't really want to end up in that crash and have some injuries from it.
Good work. We'll be here for the remainder of course, the Tour of Turkey. 6 stages involved. Here comes the Bullet Mullet, doing a great job. And here's our friend with the aqua boots. You gonna have a go at this?
I was tempted, but I'm not too sure. It's all about balance, isn't it? And
those days are gone.
Yeah.
Hope you've enjoyed it today. I'm Carlton Kirby, sitting alongside me, Brian Smith. It's been fun. It will be tomorrow as we ride on, and the terrain gets more punishing. In fact, very much so in the early part of the day, Brian.
Yes, indeed. We've got a climb right towards at the start, but I still think it will be another sprint finish. We've often seen some sprint finishes in Fethiye.
Sam Bennett then takes the day, takes the lead, and he may well take tomorrow as well, because his team look extraordinarily strong. Of the 4 World Tour teams that have come, Bora Hansgrohe timed it well today. Sam Bennett is our leader. Ed Tones, finishing second today, will be, of course, helping out, I imagine, nursing a points jersey. Brian, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, just looking at that finish, it's provisional. For my book, it was the Androni rider that finished second. Toynes is in third place, but we'll wait for the confirmation on that. But certainly an interesting sprint, slightly uphill, as we can see on these kind of Turkish paving stones. Sam Bennett taking it from the front. You can just see Ben Fatto from Androni in second place in the red, and also in the red just behind, just popping out in the right hand side, was Edward Toynes taking a nice third place.
Yes, it will be Ben Fatto. Beg your pardon. Misguided by that.